Look at your hands. Turn them over. See the lines, the creases, the cartography of a life being lived. You think of them as solid. You think of them as here, now, in this moment. They are not. They are a story told in a language of starlight and time. They are a collection of echoes, a chorus of events that began long before you and will continue long after. You believe you are standing still on solid ground in a world that is fixed and present. But the ground beneath your feet is a fluid, moving in a slow, silent scream. The light that enters your eyes is a fossil, an ancient traveler from time that is already dead. The life inside you, the very spark you call your own, is merely sleeping, waiting for a spring you may never see. This is the great deception of the senses. Our lives are lived in the flicker, in the frantic, desperate pace between one heartbeat and the next. We measure our existence in days, in hours, in the urgent ticking of a clock that always seems to be running out. We crave speed. We demand answers now. We believe that truth is something to be seized, captured, and possessed in an instant. But the universe does not operate on your timescale. It does not speak in the frantic language of moments. It whispers. It hums. It communicates in vast, slow, deliberate sentences that stretch across centuries, across millennia. To understand it, you cannot shout. You cannot rush. You must learn to listen. There are watchers who have understood this. Sentinels of science. Guardians of the slow truth. They are the architects of the longest-running experiments in human history. They are not chasing the fleeting particle or the instantaneous reaction. They are doing something far more radical. They are practicing the art of patience. They are planting gardens for their great-great-grandchildren. They are waiting for a single drop of a black tear to fall. They are staring into the abyss of the past, simply to understand the present. These are not just experiments. They are acts of faith. They are secular prayers. They are a form of deep listening, a quiet rebellion against the tyranny of the now. They teach us a lesson we have forgotten, that some truths only reveal themselves to those who are willing to wait. That reality is not a snapshot, but a long exposure photograph. Calme. Let us slow down. Let us quiet the noise. Let us visit these hallowed grounds of patience and see what they have to show us. Let us learn to see the world not as it appears in a flash, but as it truly is in the deep, resonant silence of time itself. We begin in a field under a quiet Michigan sky. The year is 1879. The world is crackling with newness. The first commercial light bulb is a year away from glowing. Steam and steel are rewriting the landscape, promising a future of impossible speed. Everything is accelerating. Everything except the work of one man. His name is William Beale. He is a botanist, a man who understands the language of green and growing things. But he is also a kind of prophet, a man haunted by a question that reaches far into the future. How long can a secret be kept? How long can life wait? He sees the farmers plowing their fields, turning over the soil, and sees them fighting an endless war against weeds. A field can lie fallow for a year, 5 years, a decade, and then, once tilled, it erupts with plants no one sowed. The seeds are there, sleeping, waiting. How long? He wonders, can they wait? How long can that spark of possibility, that ghost of a future plant, endure the silent, crushing dark? This is not a question you can answer quickly. This is a question that requires you to surrender your own lifetime. It requires you to place a message in a bottle and cast it into the ocean of time, trusting that someone, generations from now, will be there to receive it. So he begins. His experiment is humble, almost rustic. It has none of the gleaming chrome of modern science. It has soil and sand and 20 narrow-necked glass bottles. Into each bottle, he carefully places a mixture of sand and seeds. Not one kind of seed, but 21 different kinds. Common weeds, the persistent, unwanted life that thrives in the margins. Mullen, Colidok, evening primrose. He is burying a tiny, dormant ecosystem. He corks the bottles. He does not seal them completely. He leaves them open to the subtle pressures and moisture of the earth, but angled downwards, so they do not fill with water. He wants this to be a natural sleep, a real burial. Then, under the cover of darkness, he takes his 20 silent messengers to a secret spot on the campus of what would become Michigan State University. He digs a hole in a sandy knoll and buries them, mouths pointing down, about 18 inches below the surface. He tells only one person where they are. He has just begun one of the longest conversations in the history of science. A conversation where each exchange is separated by years, then decades. His plan is simple. Every 5 years, a bottle will be unearthed. Its contents will be spread on sterile soil in a greenhouse, and the world will watch to see what, if anything, still remembers how to live. Think of it, the sheer, audacious patience. In a world celebrating the telegraph, the instant message of its day, Beale was planting a question that would take a century and a half to even begin to answer. He was gambling on the future. He was trusting in the continuity of curiosity, in the idea that someone, long after he was dust, would care about his sleeping seeds. The first bottle is dug up in 1884. The seeds are spread, and life erupts. Of course it does. Only 5 years. Omirnop. Another in 1889. Another in 1894. Another in 1899. Each time, life answers the call. Fewer species, perhaps. A little more reluctant, but the spark is undeniably there. William Beale lives to see 6 of his bottles opened. He performs his ritual, this quiet communion with his younger self, for 30 years. But time, the very thing he is studying, comes for him as it comes for all of us. He passes the torch to a colleague. The secret location is shared. The vigil continues. In 1920, 20 years after the last bottle Beale himself opened, another is raised from the earth. The world has changed in unimaginable ways. It has endured a great war. It has learned to fly. It has embraced the automobile and the radio. And in a quiet lab in Michigan, seeds that were buried when Ulysses S. Grant was president are sprinkled onto soil. And they grow. A decision is made. The experiment is working too well. The intervals are too short. To truly plumb the depths of this question, they must slow down even more. The schedule is changed. A bottle every 10 years. 1930, 1940, 1950, 1960, 1970, 1980. With each exhumation, a story unfolds. The cast of characters dwindles. Some species give up their ghosts early. They forget the sun, but others persist. They hold on. They remember. The keepers of the experiment change. The torch is passed from one generation of scientists to the next. It becomes a sacred trust, a legacy. To be the keeper of the Beale seeds is to be a steward of deep time. Another change is made. The waiting must be longer still. 20 years between bottles. The year is 2000, a new millennium. A team goes out, map in hand, to the secret spot. They dig. They find the bottle. It is a relic, an artifact from forgotten world. They take it to the lab. They spread the sand and seed mixture. And a single, delicate green shoot appears. Verbascum thapsus, mullein, a common weed with velvety leaves. After 120 years in the cold, silent dark, it remembers the light. It answers the call. The most recent bottle was unearthed in 2021. The secret was passed to a new generation. They went out in the dead of night, as is the tradition, to keep the location hidden. And again, life. Stubborn, miraculous life. What does this mean? What is this quiet, century-long experiment telling us? It is deconstructing our very idea of what it means to be alive. We think of life as a binary state. On or off, living or dead, a beating heart or a still one. The Beale seeds tell us this is a lie. Life is not a switch. It is a spectrum. It is potential. It is information held in a state of suspended animation. Those seeds were not truly alive in the way we understand it. They were not metabolizing, not growing, not respiring in any meaningful way. They were ghosts. They were promises. They were possibilities, waiting for the right question to be asked. They blur the line between geology and biology. For over a century, they were no more active than a grain of sand. And yet, they held within them a complexity, a set of instructions that the sand did not. They were matter, imbued with memory. And isn't that what you are? Are you not matter, imbued with memory? This experiment reaches out from its quiet patch of earth and touches everything. It suggests that resilience is written into the fabric of biology in ways we can barely comprehend. It tells us that life is far more stubborn, far more patient than the creatures who live it. Think of the seeds we plant in our own lives, the ideas we share, the kindnesses we offer, the art we create. We imagine they have short life, that they bloom and fade in the moment. But maybe they don't. Maybe they become buried seeds, lying dormant in the mind of a friend, in the culture of a community, waiting for decades, waiting for the right conditions, the right tilling of the soil, to suddenly, unexpectedly, sprout into something new. You are never just a flower. You are the buried seed. Your influence, your essence, is a potential that could lie sleeping for 100 years, waiting for a future you will never know, to finally reach for a sun you will never see. William Beale did not live to know the answer to his question, but in a way, he became the answer. His curiosity, his patience, his radical act of faith in the future, that was the seed he planted, and it is still growing today. There are 4 bottles left in the ground. For more messages from 1879, the last one is scheduled to be opened in the year 2100. None of us will be here to see it, but someone will. A future scientist, a future guardian of the flame. And what will they find? Will anything still remember the light after 221 years? We don't know, and that is the point. The experiment is not about the final answer. It is about the act of asking a question so large it requires generations to pose. It is about embracing a timescale beyond our own. It is about learning to wait. Now, let us travel from a field in Michigan to a dusty cabinet in Queensland, Australia. Here, another vigil is being kept. Another act of radical patience is unfolding. But this experiment is not about the stubbornness of life. It is about the secret life of things we call solid. Look at the table in front of you, the floor beneath you, the walls that surround you. They are the epitome of stability. They are solid, unmoving. They are the stage upon which the frantic drama of your life unfolds. This is another lie your senses tell you, a lie of convenience. In a lecture hall at the University of Queensland, inside a glass bell jar, sits a small glass funnel. Inside the funnel is a lump of black, glossy material. It looks like a piece of obsidian, a shard of cooled magma. It is pitch, the same tar-like substance used to seal boats or pave roads. Hold a piece in your hand, and you can shatter it with a hammer. It fractures. It splinters. It is, by all reasonable definitions, a solid. Beneath the funnel sits a beaker, and for nearly a century, almost nothing has happened. This is the pitch drop experiment, and its purpose is to challenge the very line we draw between the moving and the still. The year is 1927. The first professor of physics at the university, Thomas Parnell, wants to demonstrate something to his students. He wants to show them that categories are not as rigid as they seem. He wants to reveal that some substances, which appear solid on human timescales, are in fact fluids of incredibly high viscosity. They are rivers that flow at a geological pace. So he takes a sample of pitch, heats it, and pours it into the sealed funnel. He then leaves it alone. For 3 years, he lets it settle to completely fill the shape of its container, to forget the trauma of being heated and poured. He is letting it return to its natural state of profound slowness. Then, in 1930, he cuts the stem of the funnel, and the wait begins. Professor Parnell is not trying to create a century-long experiment. He is trying to make a point for his students. He likely expected a result within a year or 2. A slow, viscous drip that would prove his point about viscosity. The universe, it seems, had a different idea of slow. The pitch, now free to obey gravity, begins to move. but it moves with a patience that makes the beel seeds look hyperactive. It is a river of glass flowing slower than a glacier, a black tear forming with imperceptible grace. Years pass. The 1930s unfold. The world descends into economic depression and then into war. And in the funnel, the drop swells. It lengthens. It stretches downwards, a filament of pure black patience. Finally, in December of 1938, 8 years after the stem was cut, the first drop falls. It lands silently in the beaker below, a tiny, quiet victory for gravity and time. Did anyone see it? No. Professor Parnell recorded the event, but he did not witness it. The lab was empty. The moment came and went, unobserved. This becomes a theme, a strange, recurring joke the universe seems to be playing. The second drop takes another 9 years. It falls in 1947. Again, no one is there to see it. Parnell himself passes away a year later. He never saw a single drop fall from the experiment he started. He became, like William Beale, a progenitor who would not live to see the fruits of his patience. But the experiment, now an orphan, continues. Another guardian takes over. John Mainstone. He inherits this strange, silent duty. He becomes the keeper of the stillness. The drops continue their slow, deliberate rhythm. 1954, the third drop. Missed. 1962, the fourth drop. Missed. 1970, the fifth drop. Missed again. The pitch is now estimated to be 100 billion times more viscous than water. It is a solid that flows. A paradox in a jar. 1979, the sixth drop. Missed. By now, the experiment has become a legend, a quiet celebrity. A decision is made to finally catch the moment in the act. For the seventh drop, a video camera is trained on the funnel. The world will finally witness this impossibly slow event. The drop falls in April of 1988. The video camera was not working that day. The universe, it seems, has a sense of irony. It refuses to perform on command. This event, this transition from a hanging drop to a fallen one, insists on privacy. The vigil becomes more intense. The experiment is a global curiosity. For the next drop, the eighth, they are ready. A webcam is set up. The world can watch online, a global community of patients. Thousands of people have the live feed open on their computers. On November 28, 2000, it happens. The drop of pitch, having hung for 12 years, finally separates. It touches the accumulation of its brothers and sisters in the beaker below. The moment is captured. Victory. But there is a twist. The webcam, capturing an image only every few minutes to create a time lapse, managed to miss the crucial instant of separation itself. It has the frame before and the frame after. But the fall, the snap, the moment of letting go, it remains unseen by any human eye. A ghost in the machine. John Mainstone, the second guardian, dedicated 52 years of his life to watching the pitch. He died in 2013, having also never witnessed a drop fall with his own eyes. He called it the longest-running joke in science. The ninth drop finally fell in 2014. It was filmed by multiple cameras. And yet, its story is also strange. It collided with the eighth drop below before separating from the funnel, making the moment of truth ambiguous. What is this bizarre, century-long performance teaching us? It is annihilating our categories. It is taking the simple, common-sense distinction between solid and liquid and revealing it for what it is, an illusion of timescale. There is no such thing as a solid, not in any absolute sense. Solid is just a word we use for fluids that are moving too slowly for our impatient lives to notice. The mountain outside your window, it is flowing, eroding, weathering, collapsing under its own weight, being pushed up by tectonic forces. It is a wave in the Earth's crust, cresting over 1 million years. The continents themselves are adrift on a sea of magma. They are liquid. The glass in ancient cathedral windows is sometimes claimed to be thicker at the bottom, pooling like honey over centuries. While largely a myth for glass, the principle is real. On a long enough timeline, everything yields. Everything flows. The universe is not a collection of things. It is a collection of processes, of events. And so are you. You think of yourself as a solid, continuous being, the same you that went to sleep last night. But you're a river, a torrent of processes. Billions of your cells have died and been replaced since you started listening to this. The air in your lungs is different. The thoughts in your mind are different. You are a standing wave, a pattern in a constant flow of matter and energy. You're a pitch drop, seemingly stable, seemingly fixed, but in a constant, slow, imperceptible state of becoming something else. The experiment forces us to confront our own temporal arrogance. We believe the world as we see it in this instant is the way the world is. The pitch drop experiment is a quiet, dripping rebuke. It says, you are not seeing the whole picture. You are a creature of the flicker. Your now is an illusion. It humbles us. It asks us to imagine a perspective from which a human life is but a flash, and a mountain range is a ripple on a pond. There is a profound peace in this. If nothing is truly solid, if everything is in flux, then perhaps we can let go of our desperate grip on permanence, on identity, on the way things are. Perhaps we can learn to flow with the changes rather than shatter against them. The experiment continues. The 10th drop is forming now. It will likely fall sometime in the next few years. And perhaps this time someone will see it. Or perhaps the universe will wink at us again and demand that its slowest secrets remain its own. From the buried seed and the dripping pitch, we now turn our gaze upward to the longest experiment of them all, an experiment that has been running not for a century, but for as long as there have been eyes to see. It is the simple act of looking at the night sky. It requires no lab, no funding, no guardian. Its only prerequisite is curiosity and a clear night, and it will deconstruct the most fundamental illusion of all, the illusion of the present. You believe you are in the now, that when you look at the world, you are seeing it as it is in this very instant. Your entire experience of reality is built on this foundation. Starlight is here to tell you that the foundation is sand. Look up, even during the day. See the sun, that immense ball of fire. The light warming your skin did not leave the sun now. It left 8.5 minutes ago. It has traveled 93 million miles to reach you. You're not seeing the sun as it is. You're seeing the sun as it was. You're looking into the past. This is not a metaphor. It is a physical fact. Light, the fastest thing in the universe, is still not instantaneous. It takes time to travel. And because the distances in space are so vast, looking out into the cosmos is, by definition, looking back in time. This is humanity's oldest observational experiment. The first hominid who looked up at the moon and wondered was the first astronomer. They were beginning a project that continues to this day with instruments of unimaginable power. Let's conduct the experiment right now. Imagine the night is clear. You step outside. The moon is hanging in the sky, a ghostly silver coin. The light you see left its surface just over a second ago. You are seeing the moon as it was a second in the past. Close, but not now. Your gaze drifts. You see a bright star. Perhaps it is Vega, a jewel of the summer sky. The light from Vega has been traveling for 25 years to enter your eye. When you look at Vega, you're seeing it as it was a quarter of a century ago. The light that is painting a picture of that star on your retina left its source around the time the internet was becoming a household phenomenon. For all we know, in the real present, Vega could have exploded. We wouldn't know for another 25 years. You're seeing a ghost. You scan further. You find Polaris, the North Star. The light from Polaris takes 433 years to reach us. When you look at the North Star, you're seeing light that left during the time of Galileo and Shakespeare. That light has been journeying through the void, carrying its ancient image, all through the rise of modern science, the Industrial Revolution, World Wars, the digital age, to finally end its journey in your eye. You're not just looking at a star. You're looking at history. But let's go deeper. Your eyes, even unaided, can pick out a faint, fuzzy patch in the constellation of Andromeda. It is the Andromeda Galaxy, our closest major galactic neighbor. That smudge of light is 2.5 million years old. Think of what that means. When the photons that are now hitting your eye began their journey, our own species, Homo sapiens, did not exist. The plains of Africa were roamed by our distant ancestors, like Homo habilis. The great ice ages had not yet fully taken hold. The entire story of human civilization, from the first cave painting to the device you are using to listen to this, has played out while that light was silently soaring through the intergalactic darkness. When you look at the Andromeda Galaxy, you are seeing a fossil made of light. You're a paleontologist of time itself, and we have built machines to see even further. The Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, they're not just telescopes, they're time machines. Their purpose is to collect the oldest, faintest, most ancient light in the universe. They have shown us galaxies as they were 10, 12, 13 billion years ago. They have captured light that is older than the Earth itself. Light that left its source when the universe was just a toddler, a few 100 million years old, a chaotic furnace of creation. We are looking at the dawn of cosmic time. So what does this experiment, this simple act of looking up, tell us about reality? It shatters the present, utterly. There is no universal now. It does not exist. The present you experience is a private fiction, a story your brain constructs to make sense of the world. Your reality is a collage of different pasts. When you look at the sky, you are seeing 1,000 different things all at once. The moon from 1 second ago, Vega from 25 years ago, Polaris from 4 centuries ago, Andromeda from 2.5 million years ago, distant galaxies from 10 billion years ago. The sky is not a space. It is a timescape. It is a museum where all the exhibits are from different eras, but they are all on display in the same room. This is perhaps the most unsettling truth revealed by any of these slow experiments. Our most intimate, intuitive sense of a shared, instantaneous present is a neurological illusion. What does that mean for you? It means you are a time binder. Your consciousness is the loom upon which all these different threads of the past are woven together into a coherent tapestry you call now. You're a creature that lives in a movie made of old photographs. It also redefines your place in the cosmos. You are not just an inhabitant of the universe. You are a witness to its entire history. The light that makes up your world, the starlight that powers the life on this planet, is ancient. The atoms in your body, the carbon, the nitrogen, the oxygen, were forged in the hearts of stars that died billions of years ago. You're made of starlight, and you are looking at starlight. You are, in the most literal sense, the universe's way of looking back at itself, of remembering where it came from. This is not poetry. It is physics. The long gaze into the night is the ultimate act of patient observation. It asks for nothing but our attention, and in return, it gives us the most profound gift, a true sense of our scale, our context, and our connection to the grand, slow, unfolding story of everything. There is no final answer here. There is no drop to watch fall, no seed to watch sprout. The experiment is the watching itself. It will continue as long as humanity exists. Each new generation will look up at the same sky, but with new eyes, new instruments, and see even further back in time. They will see our ghosts, just as we see the ghosts of ancient suns. The sleeping seeds, the dripping pitch, the ancient light. 3 experiments, 3 acts of profound patience. They began in different eras with different intentions. One in botany, one in physics, one in the simple act of human wonder. But they all converge on the same deep, unsettling, and ultimately liberating truths. They have taught us to question the very foundations of our reality. What does it mean to be alive? The seeds tell us it is not a state, but a potential, a dormant memory waiting for a call. They suggest that life is more a quality of information than a property of active matter, a persistence of possibility. What does it mean to be solid? The pitch tells us it is an illusion of speed, a matter of perspective. It reveals a universe not of static objects, but of dynamic processes, all flowing, all changing, on timescales that dwarf our own. A cosmos of verbs, not nouns. What does it mean to be present? The starlight tells us it is a fiction, a neurological trick. It shows us a reality that is a mosaic of pasts, a chorus of echoes, where there is no universal now. So where does that leave us? If life is a sleeping potential, if solidity is a fluid dance, if the present is an echo of the past, then who are you? You are the intersection. You are the place where these truths become conscious. You are the sleeping potential that has, for a brief and glorious moment, woken up. You are the flowing river of matter that has, for a short time, achieved a pattern stable enough to call itself me. You are the receiver of ancient light, the living time machine that assembles a phantom now from the ghosts of yesterday. These experiments, in their profound slowness, do more than just give us data. They give us a new philosophy for living. In a culture that screams for more, faster, now they offer the wisdom of the slow, the power of the patient, the grace of the gradual. They teach us that some of the most important questions cannot be answered in a lifetime. And that is okay. That, in fact, is the point. To ask a question so large it must be passed down through generations is an act of ultimate hope. It is a declaration of faith in the future of human curiosity. William Beale did not need to see the last seed sprout. Thomas Parnell did not need to see the pitch drop. They only needed to begin. They trusted that others would follow, that the question was more important than the answerer. What does this mean for your life in this frantic, flickering moment? Perhaps it is an invitation to slow down, to listen beneath the noise, to appreciate the processes, not just the results. To plant a garden you may not see bloom. To build something whose true value will only be understood 100 years from now. To ask questions not for the sake of an immediate answer, but for the sake of deepening the inquiry itself. To find the beauty in the swelling of the drop, not just its fall. To see the value in the dormant seed, not just the flower. To look at an old tree and not just see wood, but to see a slow-motion explosion that has been happening for a century. To look at a mountain and see a wave. To look at the night sky and see your own origin story. These long experiments are a form of meditation for our entire species. They are a counter-narrative to our cultural obsession with speed and instant gratification. They remind us that the universe is not a machine to be operated, but a story to be witnessed. And the best stories take time to unfold. The world is not a collection of solid, separate objects. It is a single, vast, interconnected flow, a dance of energy and information that has been unfolding for nearly 14 billion years. The seeds in the earth, the pitch in the funnel, the light in the sky, and the cells in your body are all part of this same dance. They are all notes in the same slow, cosmic song. And our purpose, perhaps, is simply to learn how to listen, to be still enough and patient enough to hear the music. The final lesson from these sentinels of science is one of profound humility and connection. We are not masters of the universe, forcing it to reveal its secrets. We are its children, learning its language. And its language is time. Deep, slow, patient time. The universe is not in a hurry. The great work of existence unfolds with a patience that is both terrifying and beautiful. So why are you in such a rush? Be still for a moment. Breathe. Feel the slow, inexorable flow of your own existence. You're a process. You are a memory. You are a witness. And you have all the time in the world, because the world is made of time. And so are you.